today on the World Mental Health Day, when I planned this webinar, I was, and later on when I connected with Dr. Ridha, Amrita, and Dr. Bhavna, then I came to know that this actually coincides with World Mental Health Day, and which was surprising for me also, because but then it was pleasantly surprising, because the idea that challenges for students post pandemic is something which is not just, even though it is a very much a mental health issue, but it is a very, very holistic issue that I was looking at from the perspective of seeing as a mother myself. So I represent an organization called Facilitating Excellence Consultancy, which deals in emotional intelligence for youth. And I have seen children, and what I have experienced as a mother, as dealing with youth, is the basic transition issues that they've been facing in just adapting themselves with change. Very, very normal. But now the idea is they have to be ready for this change, and it is our responsibility as society, as parents, as health advisory, to help them transition. And that's where seminars and webinars like this come in. And we had our partner, Excellence School of Media Management, who are helping us with organizing and conceptualizing this particular, and Dr. Ridha, who has been a partner with me, and I'll speak more about her. So going forward, about the panelists, Dr. Ridha, Ms. Amrita, Dr. Madan, how they came, and how this was conceptualized. So now what happened, and why are we talking about what this webinar today will speak about? So now, like I said, upcoming challenges for students was an area that I wanted to speak about. Now, upcoming challenges, both from the perspective that when they go to school, and if they, once they go to reach school, both from physical and mental perspective, and also from the perspectives that even if the parents are dealing with have the dilemma of what if they don't send, what then? How should they prepare the students? If they're going today, if they're vaccinated, if they're not vaccinated, what happens then? Kya karna chahiye unko? The emotional and the medical and the physical issues kya hai? मतलब क्या होगा? अभी वैक्सीनेशन नहीं हुई है, लेकिन क्या है उनकी तैयारी? एंड द आइडिया इज, हम बहुत सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस दे, ऐसा नहीं है हमें कुछ बहुत बड़ा नहीं करना है. वी आर नॉट अ मेडिकल, दिस इज नॉट अ वेरी मेडिकल बेस्ड, बट अ वेरी सिंपल सॉल्यूशन बेस्ड, डूएबल, वो जो आप और मैं एज पेरेंट्स, एज सोसाइटी घर में बैठ के उनको सुझाव दे सकते हैं, that can go a long way in changing maybe lifestyle. The flow of the session is very simple. I am the moderator, so I'll be introducing the topic, and then the individuals' presentations hongi by the various esteemed panelists. We'll be discussing the role of the parents, school authority, and other stakeholders. We'll be having a question-answer session, and then we'll be wrapping up with the final thoughts. The point is, why are we discussing challenge now? Now, this was a question which came up to me very strongly कि हम अभी तो हो चुका है ट्रांजिशन, अभी तो खत्म होने की बात हो रही है, तो हम अभी क्यों डिस्कस कर रहे हैं? So point is, from when there was a transition, the challenge was virtual से real ही उतना ही challenging होगा जितना challenging real से virtual में जाना था. The people have been sitting, the children have been sitting, they have been accustomed, and the transition, the change was not for 1 month or 2 months. It was for good 1.5 years. The children have grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle. Now we need to help them transition smoothly. And there is a lot of information. Right, wrong is not what we are debating. it is about lot of information out there. So information को actual inputs ही काट सकते हैं from the point of perspective of people who know about it, and that is where we bring in our specialists, our doctors, who will be able to answer your questions, any doubts and queries you have about what is the best way to go about it, and connect as a community. We are a community. We are not, we've been sitting inside our home, but the best part is let people come together, let people raise their doubts. It's just a beginning. We will be organizing more such webinars, but it's just a beginning to connect as a community. अगर हम लोग कम्युनिटी की तरह कनेक्ट होकर एक प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करेंगे, हम लोग इससे बहुत आगे जाके अपने सॉल्यूशंस को एक बेस दे पाएंगे. Going to our esteemed panelists, we have Dr. Riddha Gupta. She's a consulting physician and diabetes specialist. She's based out in Delhi. She's also an art of living teacher. And how she met me was she's actually the teacher of my son. So she was taking classes for my son for teens. So my son is 15 and she's also a running enthusiast. She's herself a mother of adolescents. And two actually, and she'll be discussing about diabetes and changing lifestyle perspective. Her discussion will be about facts about diabetes. How can we prevent diabetes explosions? Is my child, given the change in lifestyle, is my child at risk? What are the facts about fat that we should be knowing? And how can we help others? We have Ms. Amrita Achrekar, who is a consultant and a psychologist. She's also an NLP practitioner, regression therapist, graphologist, and back, flower, and mind-body healer. She's based out of Mumbai. She will be discussing how to accept the new normal and bracing for uncertainty. She'll be discussing emotional and psychological implications of what the transition holds, the do's and don'ts of going forward, how best to adapt to new schedules, and the tips for students, parents, and schools. Our panelist, Dr. Bhavna Madan, she's a bachelor's in physiotherapy and has a fellowship in cardiac rehabilitation. She had done her certificate course in manual therapy and she's based out in Delhi. She will be discussing on the challenges of pandemic on students from the physical perspective, impacts on long-term health, and recommendations for students, parents, and schools. I will be moderating the session. I have 2 children, which was the reason I kind of thought of this session. My son has already joined school, so I realized the kind of situations that he's facing. I'm also the director of Facilitating Excellence Consultancy. I'm an entrepreneur, author, coach, trainer, and I've worked with more than 10,000 youth, professionally, directly and indirectly through training programs. So now, without further ado, I call upon my first speaker, Ms. Dr. Riddha Singh Gupta. I would request everybody to please mute themselves, except for the panelist who is speaking. Yes, thank you so much. So I'll stop sharing. Dr. Riddha, calling upon you.
Yeah, morning everybody. And thank you, Nupur, for the kind introduction. Yes, I've been very, very lucky to be associated with Nupur over this course of time. In fact, this is what I think the only benefits that we have seen of the COVID pandemic. We connect irrespective of where we are. You know, you are in Bangalore, I'm in Delhi, doesn't matter. The kids, everybody is connecting to each other irrespective of the place that we are in. So I'll just get going with the topic which is so dear to all our hearts. Our kids going back to school. And yes, as Nupur put it, this is not theory for me because it is something that we are seeing every day. I have two children. One is 13, one is 6.5. So yes, schools are also slowly opening up in Delhi, and because I've seen both the aspects. I've seen a situation where there were no beds in Delhi. We were running out of oxygen. We were giving, steroids to patients on the street. We were trying to save as many people as we could. I've seen that situation. We have seen a situation where things got normal, got stable, and now we are entering a phase where we are ready to get back to the real world. Then another situation which I'm very closely seeing and monitoring is the rise in the number of patients, young patients who are coming into my OPD, in my clinic with diabetes. That is an alarming fact that I am handling every day. And this is what I really was very keen to get into this discussion when Nupur put forward the idea. So the average age of an Indian child, maybe it could have been delayed to another 5 to 7 years of diagnosis of diabetes if it had not been for the COVID endemic. And we'll start with the sharing. Yes, so this is about me, something about me. So just a minute because not so. Yes, so I am an MBBS. I've done my DMB from Gangaram. I'm diploma in diabetes, and these other, those other degrees that I have. And yes, my real passion and why I am here actually is because yes, my children, as I told you about them, and my art of living. Yes, that is, I am dealing with a lot of kids, a lot of teens, and handling not their we are handling the mental health of the children. And today being World Mental Health Day, the whole the shift is towards how to make them feel safe about stepping out again, how to get them back to the normal, because so many of them, these 1.5 to 2 years, they've forgotten what school looked like. They've forgotten how talking to somebody face to face would be. So yes, and the agenda of today, clearly, as Nupur put it, those were the steps that I was thinking of to start with. So it is very important that the kids step out of the house now. It's very important because we are seeing the milestones wo stages hoti hai which are seen in the development of a child. So it is not only, a milestone of a kid when he starts walking and talking. Milestone also plays a role for a teenager, for somebody who's establishing those hormones inside their body. So wo milestones bhi bahut important hai. So we are seeing a delay in all those milestones for all their age groups because wo social interaction nahi hai. They do not know what it actually feels like, to go struggle in the heat, maybe because they're so used to this AC setup at home, so used to being so comfortable at home, eating whenever they want to eat, and just doing whatever they want to do. That discipline maybe has just gone out because as working, most of us are working parents. So what are we telling them? We're telling them that it's okay. So whatever they're doing, it's fine as long as they're letting us do what we want to do. So the discipline definitely has gone. Imagine my own children, they were going to school 6:30, the bus would come even in winters, and Delhi winters are very harsh. So even the young one, he was, when we had the lockdown, he was like 4.5 years. So they were going to school, they were coming back, doing the work and everything regular. And now it is just like the opposite of everything. So here, what are we facing? The challenges that lie ahead of us are kids are eating everything and anything that they want to eat. The junk food has a major impact on their cholesterol levels, on their vitamin D levels, on the calcium levels. Everything is not coming within range, and that is a reality. A lot of kids are walking in with muscle aches, with leg aches, with the weakness, and the sleep pattern. The sleep pattern is a big issue. Their sleep cycle has reversed. They go to sleep at 3 o'clock and they get up at just before school, 8 o'clock. They're scrambling and they just get up and they just sit there in front of that online class. So yes, the calcium, vitamin D, the lipids, the sugars, the sleep, everything upar niche ho gaya hai. So these are the main concern as a doctor, as somebody who's seeing a lot of lifestyle changes in these patients, in these people. These are the changes that we are actively seeing. The other thing is we are at a very delicate junction because our kids are not vaccinated. The news that the third wave might be around is scary for all of us. We don't know how equipped is, how can we rely on the system, on the government, which has actually failed us. In the second wave, everybody was taken by a surprise. So, ek taraf, we have to, let them go out because of all the issues I told you. The other issue is, are they safe? Is it actually safe to let them go? So, what I would say is, I was reading a very interesting detail yesterday about schools being given 11 strong guidelines, 11 strong parameters to work and to function under those guidelines, and only then would they be allowed to, open and continue the offline classes. So yes, as far as school is concerned, as far as experience of other parents is concerned, schools are really taking a lot of care. The teachers are all vaccinated. Schools are working very hard to make sure we feel safe leaving our kids with them. So for our school, like DPS Dwarka in Delhi, we were not having public transport. You have to pick up and drop your kid on your own, obviously, because public transport would mean, closer communication, this thing with the children. Then mask and then sanitization. The good news is that a vaccine trial is underway for 12 plus children. It has been flagged off in, I think, July end, and they're actively doing the vaccine trial, and we are getting good results till now. So that is like, a ray of sunshine that we're going to see. Maybe if the kids also get vaccinated, it's going to be good for all of us. So when your child steps out, you cannot compromise the hygiene, the protocol that has to be followed, which would definitely mean carrying a sanitizer, a mask, not one mask, like 2-3 set of masks or 5 masks if your child has a tendency of losing out things. Mask is needed, sanitizer. You have to tell them dur baithna hai, don't have to get really huddly cuddly with their friends. And the most important thing, if your child has some symptoms of cold, allergy, cough, kuch bhi ho raha hai, you please get the child off, usko chutti dilwao, and don't take it lightly. Haan, koi baat nahi, aaj chale jaye, it's okay, we'll manage tomorrow. No, we have to be very, very responsible as parents, and have to take the alarm very swiftly and fast if we think that that is an issue. So another important thing that I would want to discuss is we'll have to think about the protein intake of our children, because as they will step out, the muscles, the protein requirement, all these requirements of the body are going to go up. So we have to work on, more about it. We have to reduce the diet when it comes to the carbohydrates and the fats. We'll have to concentrate more on the protein so that we can build on the stamina of our own child. So yes, the diet planning has to be done well. You can give them, small tiffins because they have got used to eating at random intervals. So maybe give them some healthy options of snacks and healthy options so that they can, binge on those things when they feel hungry. So this is a new world. This is a new reality. We all have to brace up. We all have to make sure our kids start going to school if your state is allowing, if the things are working properly for all of us. And another thing is physical activity. Have to make sure that around 30 minutes of the day your child is physically active. He's doing something maybe not so intense, not such an intense activity, but he's doing at least regular 30 minutes of walk, Sometimes what works for the teenagers is putting those earphones on and still walking around the house. You can, time them properly. Or maybe if your state is ready, go out in the park on alternate days. Be careful. There are mosquitoes. We are having cases of dengue again. So, choose a time where there are, more sunlight maybe and less of those mosquitoes. So get them on their feet and try to, make them adjust to the natural environment rather than having them inside that AC the whole day. Hydration is important. Teach the child the value of water. Once the child steps out of the house, usko agar aadat nahi hogi pani ki, water, these are practical things which are going to hit us once they, start going. So we have to train them. Ki bhai, when you are home also, every 1 hour, every 1.5 hours, please get up and get your own water. So two things are being done. You are getting hydration and you're burning that calories. So get that water, get that organized about the fruit part and the small interval foods that they have to eat when they go out. And yes, get them moving, get them going and get them ready for the change that's going to get in their life. Yes, Nupur. So this is all from my end.
Thank you so much. I think this was really helpful, and it is something which is very simple, but हम लोग ना कई बार बहुत भूल से जाते हैं because we think कैसे करेंगे. So yes, I think fruits, proteins, physical activity, everything is very simply and easily can be followed. Thank you so much, Dr. Ridha. And these are very, I have had you in my previous Insta lives also, and your tips have always rocked. Very easily doable tips. So I will now invite Amrita, Miss Amrita, for her presentation. Let me. Yes. Her presentation is going to be on the psychological implications. Amrita?
Good morning, all. Thank you, Nupur, for inviting me and making me a part of this wonderful discussion that we all are having. And yes, as rightly said by Dr. Ridha, that we are into the mode of transition now. It's like, the post-pandemic that we are starting. I mean, the life has started already for the adults. All the adults are going back to work. And now it's time for the students, to reboot themselves. So without much ado, I'd like to start the presentation and help everyone understand that where we had been and where is it that we would be now heading. So when the pandemic, it had started.
You.
Okay, I hope you can hear me now. Yes. So as the pandemic started, and everybody started saying, that it's a new normal, new things are coming up and we are looking forward to new things. Everybody was mask up, social distancing, and people were waiting that how long is this going to be? When is it going to end? And there was a kind of pressure that we had when things are going to be normal. Initially, everybody took it as a holiday, a 7-day holiday, then a 14-day holiday. And the homemakers, the mothers of the house, they realized, whether they were working from home and plus working at home. The mothers got into the multitasking and it is very overwhelming for them, suddenly, koi chai mang raha hai, koi nashta mang raha hai. At whatever time, each of the family members are waking up and, it was a chaos when it started, Fathers were never used to being disturbed at work, but now they had their kids sitting just on their workstation and, just being there. And you cannot move out of the house. You have to be in the house. Technology was something that everybody was grappling through initially, and it was frustrating. And then we had another set of problems, which the youngsters faced, which we did not realize. The youngsters, they all were like, we can't go out, and youngsters cannot sit in a place for a longer time, even if they are inside the house or outside the house. So they got glued to the gadgets, to the screens, to the monitors, and parents started complaining, कि पूरी दिन ये screen के सामने बैठा रहता है. But looking at the other way around, kids had their own issues to deal with, not being able to meet the friend face to face, not being confined into the four walls of the house, being with the same people again and again. It was too tough for each and every member of the family to be in house and keep functioning. And all of a sudden, there was this, lockdown productivity or lockdown hobbies. What are you doing in the lockdown? What is your productive quotient in the lockdown? What new hobbies have you learned in the lockdown? What is the new things that you have done? And, be positive in this particular time, So it was a constant fear that people were going through. And it was too difficult for everyone to manage that. And now that we are heading out of it, let's see what is it that we do, because we have been through that phase, wherein there was a constant fear, whereas there was be positive, think positive, everything will be positive, to an extent that there, it gave rise to a new phrase called toxic positivity. That yes, we do need to be positive, we do need to be productive, we do need to utilize our time in a productive way. With having hobbies, generating new hobbies is definitely a good part, but sometimes some people just don't feel like doing it. Pandemic was also a phase, wherein many people, been confined, lockdown, not having the human interaction. Some of them had been to some places and they got caught up over there. They were staying all alone, and the loneliness, being physically lonely feels good for some time, but after a time, even the loneliness, takes hold of you. And that is where, people started getting panic attacks, feeling anxious, feeling sad, gloomy, that when will this end? Is this going to end? What is going to happen? So we saw a mammoth of, mental health issues cropping up during the pandemic. The helplines were flooded, the appointments were flooded, and it got out the worst of the humankind. Before pandemic, we used to crib about, the commute, being at the workplace, staying long at the workplace. And when we got the chance of staying back at home, we realized that, oh wow, ghar se bhi kaam ho sakta hai. Initially, we felt very nice. We could change the place from one place to other. And then, the mother started saying, every time you change the place, you keep the things all around, and I'm just supposed to keep on picking after you. And it's not one person, but it's kids, it's, it's a spouse, it's the other people. The whole house is in chaos. Ghar mein kya banana hai, shopping and everything. So it was a big chaotic thing, that we all faced through the pandemic. And so when slowly things started opening up, we felt nice. And, still the kids were at home. Still the kids were, learning online. And when I tried to take, a survey from parents, that what are the things, that they saw positive and negative in their kids during the pandemic, they said, that kids have lost, kids could bond with the family to a greater extent, majority of them. Majority of the time, it also gave rise to a lot of sparks at home, a lot of fights at home. So there was good, there was bad both during the pandemic. The kids also, got to see a lot their parents, which they used to feel, that parents cannot give as much time. But then at the same time, the kids also lost the social skills that were built over the period of time. The kids also lost the comprehension, the writing skills, the attention and concentration, the responsibility. There was not much of a responsibility while doing the online classes, because we have so many memes coming up for the online classes, that students are lying on the bed and they're attending the lectures. Students are doing something simultaneously while, the online classes are on. So somewhere the responsibility, the attention and concentration went completely on a toss. And students could not manage being on screen, listening to, those lectures for longer time, although the lectures were tried to be kept short, but it seriously disrupted their learning skills. And now that we are planning, that the schools have to be started and let's go back to this. So it feels for kids, that they are going to be from the cage, to the open air. But when you plan to go into the open air, there are also certain protocols which Dr. Riddha also mentioned that we need to be mindful about. I asked the parents in the survey, how have they been trying to do this? Whether they have spoken to their children about going to the school, whether they are ready to go to the school. The first part is talk to the students, talk to your children, whether they are ready to go to school. If yes, what is it that they are looking forward to for this offline school? If they are not willing to go to the school, why is it that they are trying to still hold back? Is it a fear? Because throughout the pandemic, we have seen two sets of, prominent emotions cropping up. It's either a fear associated with uncertainty that we don't know what is happening, what will happen in future, whether we can control things, whether we can't. And then there was another, positivity or adventure that came in, that no, nothing will happen to me. I'm all right. I'm all fine. They took everything just as an adventure. They took everything positively. Being positive is definitely good, but we need to be in charge, in sync with the reality also. So talk to your kids and ask them what is it that they feel about joining the school. Now, if whatever the decision has to be made, it has to be made with complete awareness that what will be the pros and cons if the students choose to go for the offline classes. What are the precautions, protocols that they need to take care in mind? If they still choose back to be at home, again, what will be the pros and cons of continuing the online classes? This will also depend on what class, what grade they are studying in. As it is, they are planning, to start the classes from 8th standard onwards. But, going back to the school is not just an adventure trip. It's not, like they're going to do it for a day. The journey to the school, being in the school vicinity, using the washrooms, talking to your fellow friends, specifically the first time that you meet your friend after a long time, you will feel like, hugging your friend. But then you have to keep in mind, that you can't be hugging your friend. You have to keep that social distance. No more high fives, no more hugs, no more, shaking hands. So, wearing up the mask. So if kids plan to go for the offline classes, they have to be mindful that yes, it's a responsibility that they choose for their own safety. Wearing the mask, keeping the social distance, sanitizing their hands or washing their hands whenever and wherever possible. Okay. As Dr. Riddha said, that if there is, a slight of a cold or not feeling well or something, please don't take it lightly. Do inform it to your parents. Please don't refrain from informing parents, thinking that parents panic ho jayenge, school mein nahi bhejenge, abhi school shuru kiya hai. So, I don't want to miss out on the school. I want to go to the school. Please don't do, this kind of a risk-taking attitude and risk-taking behavior. Also, at the same time, a slightest of the physical change or, physical illness, if it shows, one symptom does not, create, a big issue. Don't exaggerate it or don't be fearful also. So we have to be mindful to, not be at the extremes of fear and toxic positivity. We have to be very much in sync with the reality. Check what is happening. Definitely prevention is better than cure. Get yourself tested, go to the doctor, maintain a proper protocol, inform the school also in that matter, and be in touch with the school. The schools are definitely working towards keeping parents in loop, discussing things with them. So we have to be very careful that yes, we have to take care of our own life, our own health, our family health, and the health of the society that we are moving in, our class, wherever we are moving. So one thing that the pandemic has made us realize is that we can't just think about our own self, but we have to think about people in and around us. So it's a collective life that we are living, you know. Everyone's life is not just connected and, you know, stagnant to them, but it gets extended to others, because all of us are, you know, interconnected with each other. So keeping that also in mind, and definitely, you know, you have to start this practice. You know, the schools are going to give you a time limit. So if you're planning to move to schools offline, then training the children, you know, to wear the mask at home, it's not necessary, but it will at least get them used to keeping the mask on their face constantly. Even in case if they plan to change the mask during the school time, there is again a protocol that they need to follow. The used mask goes in a separate shelf or a separate, you know, compartment. Give them, you know, those kind of either boxes or plastics, wherein they can keep the used masks. Sanitizing the hand when they keep the used mask, and when they are taking the new mask, you know, they have to be again mindful. Again, where they are doing it, you know, the safety protocols. So all that we have to do is that we have to be very, very, very alert in our approach, in our protocol. And this alertness comes as a precaution, not as a fear that something bad will happen, and not completely taking it as an adventure ride. So all the while when we have been, you know, looking into thinking in polarities, now it is a time that we have to think mindfully, keeping the reality in mind. And no matter, you know, whatever, you know, people think, people say, you know, whenever we come across the disagreements, whenever we come across, you know, conflicts, we have to keep one thing in mind, you know. This one person is saying that my answer is right, it's 3, the other one is saying it's 4. And if you look it from their own perspective, now, right now, we are having an aerial perspective to this situation. So people who are not into the situation can have an aerial perspective and probably either can help this 3 and 4 who are fighting. Because with an aerial perspective, I can count 1, 2, and 3, and I can also count 1, 2, 3, and 4. All that mindfully we need to do is just swap, change our places. The 4 goes to the 3, the 3 goes to the 4. And we see how does it look from the other end. If the other person is saying something, what exactly is the other person's perspective? Can we just make a shift, make a move, and also try to see what the other person has to say? There is nothing right, there is nothing wrong, there are no extremities. It's just the perspective, it's just the situation, and looking at the situation in reality and taking the decisions according to the reality. Not winning over the arguments or winning over the decisions, whether I am right or whether the other person is right, but it's just what the situation is asking us to do, taking a holistic, a 360-degree perspective. With this, I would like to end, Nupur. Thank you for listening and looking forward to your question and answers after all the panelists are done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrita. It was wonderful, and yes, I think one particular piece that I love, and I've always loved English, and we've also spoken about it, is toxic positivity, which is a word which has gone around in the past as well. My takeaway from your presentation was polarities versus mindfulness, which was absolute mind-blowing as it is. Because yes, that makes a lot of difference when we are mindful of our choices, and talking to children will make a lot of impact, discussing with them as to how they are feeling about this shift and whether they are comfortable and how they feel, because yes, they do feel and they have information all lying around. I would now like to call upon Dr. Bhavna Madan for her take on what she anticipates the shift will bring and the change in the transition will bring. So, Dr. Madan, over to you.
Yeah, hi, this is Dr. Bhavna Madan. I'm a physiotherapist in practice since past 15 years. Right now, I was in Delhi, but now I've recently shifted to Gurgaon and practicing from here itself. Thank you so much, Nipur, for introducing me to this platform. And thank you so much to Dr. Riddha to introduce me to Nupur itself. With after all the discussions and all the ideas being put upon by Dr. Riddha and Amrita ji, I'll start with my presentation. COVID-19, a pandemic, a period when everything came to a standstill. Schools being not open and physically shut for almost about 2 years now. Schools are still doing their best and to make sure that learning is not disrupted and students get access to top quality education in the form of online resources. But the harsh reality is that this online education, or what we call as a remote education, has brought numerous changes in a student's life, like increased screen time. The total overall screen time of the child has increased. The things we used to say no to our children, we were forcing them to sit in front of screen for a little longer because they were attending classes through the computers or through laptop or through mobiles. Unavoidable usage of mobile, which has led to its addiction, homeworks, assignment, everything is coming over there, and which has ultimately led to bad postal habits. As we have talked, other panelists have talked about that they are sitting, it's not just about children, other people also doing the same, sitting in bed, sitting on sofa, or if at all sitting on table chair, not sitting properly according to their own comfort. And yes, there is lack of concentration. There are so many things which can distract the child when the child is at home, and that leads to lack of concentration. Social media, social physical interaction has now become more of social media interaction. Children who were able to interact with their friends and to their other people socially offline are now more and more, it is more of social media interaction. And ultimately there is decreased physical activity. It is all because of this pandemic which has stopped them from going out. It was us who stopped them. It was the situation, not actually us, it was the situation. But yes, that has led to decreased physical activity. The muscular pain of adults, which were adults used to complain of, are now being felt by the younger generation. They are now a part of an adolescent's life. As we are in this transition phase of getting back to normal and reopening of education institutions, it will pose numerous challenges for students, as getting back to physical formal education will not be easy for them. The major challenges students will be facing are challenge of maintaining safety precautions. Once schools are operational, it won't be convenient or practical to take care of all personal hygiene at all times by many students. We need to guide them. It is our responsibility as a parent, as a teacher. There is loss of interest and motivation amongst the students. Students have become lethargic and complacent while sitting at home, and they have lost their interest and determination. There is lost practice of writing, as the kids are have become used to attend online exam and have often restored to using technological devices to appear for their exams or to complete their tasks. What all work they get from your I'll say what all work they get from school. They take help of internet and all those things to complete their tasks. There are easy ways around instead of writing. Students have lost interest in writing. I have to, if I talk about, I am a mother to 2 children, and there is almost a gap of 6 years. And if I talk to my younger daughter, she'll complain, why do you want me to write? She'll say, I don't need to. The teacher is taking a Google form. Why do you want me to write? They are not in a practice of writing. They don't want to write because they say, why are you making me write? It feels tired. So getting back to groove of writing and taking notes now when they are going to the school would take longer than expected. And this might lead to a lag of in completing their work. There is deteriorating mental health. Yes, students are really in a very stressful environment, in a chaotic situation, and there's a pressure now on students. Once again, they have to go to school. I'll say the first time after the first lockdown, when the information was coming that most probably the schools will be opening from the next session, there was a mixed feeling. What my son had, he was happy that, okay, I'll be able to meet my friends. But yes, he was, one day he started crying. Now, how I attend the school? What will happen? How will we take precautions? What mask, mama, I need to carry? What everything? As a result of extra burden and pressure, mental health can definitely deteriorate. But yes, we have to help them for this. Lack of social interaction and fear of alienation. As a result of social distancing and isolation for so long, so it's a long time, students may have lost their social skills. They are in a fear. How do we interact with our friends? Other students, there's anxiety. They feel awkward when they move out. Students will take more time now as they have to go from one place to another. But because when they are at home, they are not moving. There are people who are, I'll say, there are parents who are doing their child's work. They are helping them with their classworks too. But I think in a way, not helping them. You are not helping them, but in fact, you are reducing their capacity. This all can, really deteriorate their overall being in the long term. There are increased postural problems, the way they are sitting. Now, when students have to go back to school because they are not used to sit in a particular place for so long, sitting for long hours on school desks because of the wrong postural habits they have adopted during this pandemic phase, it will be difficult for them. All these changes and challenges faced by the students can deteriorate his or her life in the long term if not being taken care properly. Bringing back the life of a student to normal will be a joint effort of all of us as a parent, a teacher, and most importantly, a student himself or herself. My recommendations for the parents, institutions, and the teachers will be, and for the child itself, I'll say, parents should encourage, rather push on their children for outdoor activities while strictly following the safety guidelines. As Dr. Riddha mentioned, when they are going to school, they need to carry, yes, 5 sets of masks, sanitizers, and everywhere we need to guide them. We need to guide them what safety precautions they need to follow, rather than ourselves being careless and not taking care of it. They have to be guided. They are going into, it is like the child going to school again, as if they are starting for their kindergarten. Parents should get involved in outdoor physical activities like walking, jogging, and cycling. As mentioned earlier by Dr. Redha, 30 minutes of, yes, physical activity is a very essential thing, so that now, getting back to the natural environment, sitting at home for so long has really, they feel like as if they are being house arrested by all of us. So natural air, so that is very important. Natural surroundings to get back to those natural surroundings is very important. So when we are shifting them to those natural surroundings, it is our duty so that we ourselves also get a little physically involved with them. When they are doing some activities, you know, they will feel that they are being still they are being not thrown out of the house, but being helped by us too. Stair climbing should be encouraged for kids, as these are major postural muscle, calf muscles, which will be very much required when the students are going back to school. They'll be walking, they'll be stair climbing in school. They are not doing these activities when they are at home. Most of the people who are staying in apartments, they have lifts or something or sorts, so they are not going up and down. They should be encouraged. As a parent, it is our duty, we should encourage them that it is required to, you know, do any kind of physical activity, to indulge them into any physical game they can play with their not a very big group, yes, a small group of children can play around. There'll be very much all these things, physical activities will be very much required, and for once the students are going back to school. And when we talk about educational institution, they should gradually increase the offline hours of teaching, as students have lost the capacities to sit for so long. They'll get tired, they'll feel bored for sitting for a longer hour of a class. I think they should gradually increase the hours of teaching. Yes, they were going for online classes, but all of a sudden going for offline classes and you know, being seen by teachers, friends all together, it will be a total different atmosphere for them. Till now they were in their room sitting in front of the computer, putting backgrounds, nobody seeing them, nothing possible. They used to feel okay, this is our world, we are safe, nobody is looking after us. But when, yes, they are going offline, it will really consume lot of their energy. The schools should initially make small group of students to sit in class and then start increasing the strength as the student get used to new social behavior of no sharing and no contact. Children should be given time to get used to the things rather than putting so much stress on them. Yes, you have to follow this, you have to follow. They should be given time. Educational institutions should take into consideration the postures of students and should not make them sit or stand for very long duration, and guide them about ways to correct their posture. Physical activity classes should be increased. Teachers should have mind teasers and fun-filled activities in between the lectures to increase their alertness and attentiveness level, and also to increase interaction among students. They should not feel good when they are, you know, joining the school. There should be something to keep themselves engaged rather than just studying and studying. They should find it fun-filled to go back to school, not just a pressure. Above all, schools should take sessions on exercises for neck, back, shoulder, arm, forearm, and wrist to bring them back with correct postures, their speed of writing, and a physical active child. And yes, I'll say when a child is physical active, he or she is much more disciplined, and a physically active child is a better learner, and is able to cope up with the situation in a better way. That's all from my end. Thank you.
Wonderful. I mean, these are something which are very, very, very basic, but very important, because we need to kind of get into the habits. And I think for me personally, what stood apart was that differentiation that you made about the staircase thing, because that's very doable. Every apartment has a lift and a staircase as well. But normally we are so used to the lift कि हम लोग staircases को use ही नहीं करते, and we don't even encourage that. बच्चों को बोल देते चलो कोई नहीं. So I would now invite questions from everyone here also. Please, if you have questions to our panelists, you're most welcome to ask them. Meanwhile, I have a few myself. We something like what questions. What are the challenges in terms that we've discussed, challenges for students and challenges for parents, but like some habits are difficult to, so how can they ensure कि बच्चा जाके follow कर रहा है, and probably I will ask this to Amrita, you, क्योंकि this takes a slight bit of mind ट्रेनिंग कि अब जाके आपने बच्चे को समझा दिया है, बट देन आपने उसको पूछ भी लिया है, बट लाइक हाउ डू यू इंश्योर कि वो जाके इस चीज को when they see their parents, their friends, they want to hug, they want to kind of get into that group, they want to take it. So how do they ensure that they don't they maintain that, if not today, they maintain also after 10 days? वो monitoring मुश्किल होगी, even from teachers perspective that is a very difficult thing to monitor. So how does that happen?
So somewhere making the child understand that all of these precautions are a part of a safety for the child, because if this safety is not adhered to, then any one of a child may get infected, and that could spread. If that happens, then again the schools will be called off. And so in pandemic, what we have realized is my life is not only my own life, but my life, I have a responsibility of the life in my family members and also in the society. Because whenever there was one case that came in, they used to tell, to inform the other people whom they have met for the past few days that this is the situation, they have turned positive, and then they had to go into the self-quarantine. So it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility for my own self, for my own safety, and for safety of others. I would see, whenever we used to go to malls and all that, people used to monitor each other. Unknown strangers used to monitor, the teenagers and, the young adults, saying that, you're not wearing the mask or you're not maintaining the social distance, because it's not that you are doing, but it's a ripple effect that happens. And taking chance for this ripple effect is too dangerous. And until and unless we don't teach responsibility to each and every human being and discipline, things are going to be difficult. And unfortunately, we Indians, we always like somebody else to take our responsibility and somebody else to discipline us. And now the focus has turned from others to my own self. Am I responsible? If I'm responsible and if I adhere to this particular rules, then I am in true sense, I'm prepared to go back to school. If it does not, resonate, if it feels uncomfortable, fine, it is uncomfortable. Wearing the mask is definitely uncomfortable. But is that discomfort better than, the other part of it? So somewhere that is where, we have been thinking in polarities during this pandemic on, but somewhere now we have to learn to be mindful and to be in the reality based. Teaching the kids responsibility and self-discipline is the key. And this is not only for them. Let it not come as a restriction. Who likes restriction? Even we don't like restriction. If the doctor tells you not to eat something, you crave more for it. But if you accept the situation that yes, if this is what the situation demands, and I still have to do it, then I take the responsibility of adhering to the do's and don'ts also for my own safety and for the safety of people around me. So how you put it to the students, how you put it to, the children, and how even we take it as an adults, that matters a lot. Even this delivery boys of, the e-commerce, they have been saying, that they are marked on, the safety protocol, whether the delivery person was wearing the mask or not, whether he was maintaining the social distance or not. But they say, that when people open the door, they themselves are not wearing the mask. So it's not that, I'm a police here, or I'm going to check somebody else, but it is for me also. Even I have to adopt the rules. So preparing the children, making them self-responsible and self-disciplined. These are the key terms. And it is something that it has to be talked about and decided. If we can adhere to it, then we are prepared to go out. If not, then the online continues. So it's all about the pros and cons and what the children choose mindfully.
I think there is another, yes, Amrit.
And there is another thing, that parents will still have to monitor. While monitoring, it should not sound nagging. Kids take it as parents are nagging, but it's not nagging. It's a part of the safety protocol now. We don't have anything in hiding now. Everything is out in open. So it's just supervising them, reminding them versus not nagging.
Correct. Bhavna, one question that I have for you is about, when it comes to physical exercise posture, what has changed has already changed. Children some of them are stooping, how do you, is it possible to go back on that? Even people who are working in office, those kind of changes, is it possible to reverse it somehow?
Yes, Nupur. If I talk about kids, adolescents, this age is a very, I'll say, an age when kids have the capability. I'll not say about adults, but yes, students and adolescents, they have the capacity that the hump, if you really are talking about, yes, we can get it back. We can get the spine straight with guidance. With the guidance of doing proper exercising and strengthening the muscles which are required. Actually, when we are sitting bent forward, our one group of muscles are in a contracted phase and another in the elongated phase. So children have to be taught about proper postural habits. They have to sit straight. It has to be given a reminder time and again. And if there is too much of a problem, yes, you can speak to any of the therapists around and they can tell you certain set of exercises. That is the reason I'm emphasizing that physical activity and exercises should be increased in schools too. They should be taught and told over and over again by the teachers. Yes, you are not sitting straight. Because at home when they were attending their classes, they were keeping their closed doors and saying, okay, don't disturb me, I have my classes. And nobody was telling them time and again. If you are being told the the after effects, like if you keep sitting like this in adulthood, you can show them a picture, your back will be hunched like this, you'll be walking like with a hump back. If they know, yes, I really have recently have given I'll say just a week back at this advice session to a 18-year-old boy who had this postural problem of hunched back and forward head posture. It is all because they are sitting in front of computers. They sit with their head forward, they have to take it back. You have, once they get to know what is actually the proper thing to do, once they know it, yes, kids do try. They are much more conscious of themselves than we are. There are things we as a parent don't care about ourselves, yes, but kids are these days conscious about it. And if told the proper method, yes, they do try and sit properly, and the postures can be corrected with proper exercises.
I actually straightened my back just listening to you. So I'm sure still kids, I'm sure there are others as well who are listening. They would have stood up, sat up in the way that they were sitting. I think there are questions, if at all, about, how people like Ananya is asking us from the perspective ki, what should she do in terms of when she takes food? I think Dr. Rida she had an engagement. Is she with us right now? she had to leave. She had mentioned that she will be leaving us early, so she had to leave. But from the perspective of food and lunch that they are taking, because here they were eating, as per their convenience. तो किस हिसाब से उनको किस न्यूट्रिशन में जाना चाहिए, and either if you can take it, because that is very important even from the older children perspective, कि भैया क्या खाना चाहिए क्या नहीं खाना चाहिए, those protein and stuff which Dr. Rinda was doing.
I would Nupur, say that they should eat a balanced diet. Like if in the morning, if they are having now kids have gone into habit of having burger at home, or moms are making all those pastas and everything home. It should be a balanced thing. If they are taking pasta in the morning, the mother should see that in the lunch at least they are not again taking such a kind of thing. They should be given a kind of, we can plan our timetable for our eating habits. Like in a week, like for my children, my girl had this habit from school that Friday is a junk food day, that I be allowed in the morning to have some junk food in the breakfast. She followed this during this pandemic also. But overall, it's the mother's, I'll say the parents' responsibility to let them know what is important. They should have pulses, they should have nuts, should be given to children. They should have milk. Okay, if they are vegetarians or non-vegetarians, they can have that. They can have eggs twice or thrice. There's nothing like summers or winters like egg cannot be eaten. Egg is always proteinaceous. And they can, if they are a vegetarian, they can have lot of these sprouts and nuts and seeds, and a lot of these granolas, a mixture of all these seeds. Makhanas are good in calcium. Somehow you can give your children some way, roasted something, the way you know your child better than anybody else. According to their taste, you can search for things and mix with what they are eating. They should be told, okay, you are having this, you have to have this also. This is good for you. This is build up your, this is important for your protein thing, and this is important for your calcium thing. It is for the overall family, I'll say. They should, rather increase, they should have a proper discipline of having food at proper times. Because now on, when they are staying at home, there's no time for breakfast. In between the classes, the child is taking food. So when, as I'll say a preparatory phase, the moms should try to keep it at the same timings if they can, or they can pack the tiffin and keep aside their beside their table, that you can have your lunch or breakfast in between the break you have in between those classes, rather than during the class.
That sense of discipline.
Yeah, it is basically about discipline. They should take their food, dinner early. It is good for overall well-being. When we say there's diabetes is increasing in children, the major cause is the children are not having food at proper times. The time they should have their dinner, they are having their snacks in the evening. 8:30, the dinner should be done for the entire family. But what happens is kids are ordering pizzas or something of that sorts, giving explanations. We were not able to have it during the lockdown period. Now let them have it. There should be proper timing. Discipline should be there. It is good for the overall well-being. Even if I talk about elders, even if elderly people, I'll say, or we talk about children, it is for everybody, because the food we eat needs some time to be digested before we go off to sleep.
Correct, absolutely. Dr. Amrita, thoughts on this?
I would just like to correct Amrita and not Dr. Amrita, and I'm sure you're getting confused between two doctors and myself. That's completely fine. So as a psychologist, I get a lot of cases, wherein parents are trying to give them the food properly, but the kids are in no mood of having the home cooked food. Because as Dr. Bhavana rightly said, 18 months, or probably 15 months that they had been eating at home, everything made up at home. pizza made in home, burger made in home. So now it's like, freedom, and we want to eat all the junk food that we have missed. But there is no compensation when it comes to food. Just because you did not eat for so many days, you cannot be hogging on the, backlog thing. And at the same time, food is important for us, for our overall well-being. Whenever you look at the diseases, even initially what Dr. Riddha said, many people as early and as young, getting diagnosed with diabetes, with many lifestyle diseases. So if you think of diseases are usually the lifestyle diseases coupled with the stress. So if you learn to take care of stress is something that is not going to go. You cannot change the environment, you cannot change the people in and around you, you cannot change, everything. It's not, there is no magic wand, but you have to change your perspective looking towards at everyone. If we change the perspective, the things remain the same the way they are, but at least we don't get stressed out. That is my main forte that I help all my clients, to deal with. And coming back to food, what I have been seeing in my practice, is in last 7 to 8 years, there has been upspurt of several lifestyle diseases as young as 15 years age. And these diseases stay as a syndrome throughout the lifetime. So they cannot be reversed completely, but then they have to be managed. And they have to be managed through proper food, proper diet, proper timely eating and sleeping. So it's again comes back to discipline. Eating a balanced diet. Junk food is okay, but the kind of ingredients that go in the junk food, which makes it more and more tasty, is again creating a lot of food addiction cases. Again, we are moving all towards, the unhealthy patterns, sleeping on time, waking up early on time. All these things have to be maintained. And if these things are not maintained, it's like giving an open invitation to stress-related diseases and disorders, including lifestyle diseases, physical diseases. So as Dr. Bhavana said, that parents have to keep in mind, or mothers have to keep in mind about their children's food intake. Children have also to be mindful to be having a balance between the junk food and the home cooked food. Nothing is going to beat the home cooked food. Even if the pastas are made up at home, burgers are made up at home, they will not taste as yummy as outside junk food, but they are healthy at least. Eating raw food along with it, having salads along with it. Ye ghas fus kaun khayega? But we are made up of all these things which are in and around us. So having the balanced diet, I guess, even schools can help, reiterating this to the students. Because I'm getting a lot of cases which are because of the, kind of a lifestyle food, and the circadian rhythm has gone on a toss in this pandemic. So bringing the circadian rhythm, the biological clock back on track, because if you're doing things on time, proper balanced meals, you will not have any diseases, any disorders. So your health is in your hands, is what I would say to the students, to the kids, and also to the parents.
Yeah, I have one question, because this is the question which came as circadian rhythm only about, because we have, and this is the last question I'm going to take, and we'll quickly wrap up the session, which was about my daughter is in class 9. She has a habit of hitting bed late and reading up something or watching her favorite web series. So OTT platform has kind of touched all our lives, and therefore waking up late in the morning on weekends, disciplining her waking up weekdays for her online classing is still a challenge. So what would the panel recommend here?
Well, pandemic has given us a freedom, like for probably whatever timings our classes, students have the classes, they wake up sometime early. Even I've got, responses in my survey saying, that students are sitting for the online classes without even brushing their teeth. So it is a challenge for the parents, to discipline them, to keep them on guards. So what I would suggest, is coming back on track is difficult, but again, the children also have to understand, that it's all at the sake of the health. we all had the essays, health is wealth. And only when we lose this wealth of health, then we realize the importance of it. So rather than waiting for that particular point, if the students can take charge of the health, waking up on time, sleeping on time. And here in my practice, with this particular part, I've been using extensively my batch flowers, because there are certain times, that kids understand, but they are not able to help themselves. So to give them some things, to work on their emotional patterns, their behavioral patterns, batch flowers have been tremendously helping me. The ones who are taking it, they have to just take it with a faith that yes, this is for their benefit, and they have to just take it regularly. That's it. So there are things available, and parents are willing to give everything, to their kids. Only it's like, it's the taker has to be consistent, and the taker has to be open to it. It doesn't make sense that you lose the health and then, run behind gathering it again. So definitely, with the sleep patterns, just start getting them back on the track. These are certain of the things, working with them one-on-one will definitely help. But yes, making the students realize what are the pros and cons of it. Waking late versus waking early.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, the kids are smart enough to understand and make choice. Only they have to make the choice which is going to be helpful and healthy to them for the long term.
Wonderful. And I think there was one more thing about grandparents being made the proxy and attendance, which I find more interesting than. But we will definitely now come to an end. We are actually ahead of 17 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. One of the things that I would like to kind of wrap this up with, that it is not easy. It had not been easy. The idea of this transition was that preparation is the key. Talking to your kids is the key. Getting them to increasing protein intake, increasing and slowly kind of helping them with little bit of physical activity will help them get used to what they are going to be in for. But right now, even if they are home, but home-based small activities, talking, communicating, asking them, little changes in their meals at home, which is converting them to a balanced diet, including fiber and protein right now, maybe, and then probably putting them in a disciplined schedule will eventually, when they join back school or their education institution, be it now, be it after vaccination, will help them accustom themselves much more easily. The idea is simple. It is not just their responsibility. It is a joint responsibility of the society and we as parents, as individuals, as health authorities, as everybody, health advisory, we owe it to our children and the school authorities also to make the transition as peaceful, as simple, as convenient for our children as possible. And thank you so much, Amrita. Thank you so much, Dr. Madan and Dr. Rita. She had to leave early. And everyone who has joined in. It has been a wonderful session, and I'm glad I have people who've liked it. So thank you so much. And we will be continuing with more such sessions. So hopefully keep tuned in for more such sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nupur, and thank you to all the audience who joined us in this venture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care and take the responsibility of your own health in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for joining, and please do follow the advices which will help us cope up with the circumstances. Thank you.